Yes, Diane.
So, Gian, the two top chakras, there's no soul ego. It's just pure consciousness.
Right. So,
No soul ego.
right. Diane is asking if here in the center and in the crown center, if these chakras belong to the soul ego or they transcend the soul ego. I would say they transcend the soul ego, because the soul still is about identification. Still there is identification with a subtle astral body and the drives of in the astral body, which are to express its talents and vocation and to serve through them. Here you transcend that too, meaning that the drive for service and expression still is respected. In fact, every drive is respected but there is no attachment to it. It's also surrendered. The soul ego drives are also surrendered in this level. Makes sense to you?
It does. So actually,
let's make it more grounded, right? If you have the desire to serve the world as a Reiki practitioner, you want to do that and you allow the organism to do that, but if for any reason that doesn't happen at the level that your soul would like it to happen, there is acceptance. This is divine will, right? Because greediness can be expressed also at that level. I want to save everybody, right? And that's not necessarily healthy. But yes, you want to make a contribution as much as possible, but there is surrender with it.
So actually, in the awakening process, there are two deaths. There's the death of the ego, and then the death of the soul ego.
Okay, Diane is asking that if in the awakening process there is the death of the ego and the death also of the soul ego, the human ego and the soul ego. I would say that neither. There is no death of the ego with awakening. What happens during awakening is two things. First, there is a clear seeing through both egos. Seeing through means, in this case, I am not them. Yeah, I'm not this human ego, neither I am the soul ego, and there's like a chunk of these two egos that goes, to the trash can, so to speak.
So that's like a death.
Yeah, well, there's a death of a part of it, but has not been completed. Yeah, a chunk of it goes to the trash can, but not the totality. So the ego still is there. Let's say, for example, 51% is gone. Still you have to deal with 49%. And that 49% there begins to show up as negative emotions. And pretty soon, and then you say, what's happening to my awakening? What's happening to this awakening? It's because these parts of the ego that have not died, they need to be seen through too, until they are also in the trash can. But it's a process now. It's not one event. It's an embodiment process that takes time, right? So neither one is dead. And I would say that the ego, both egos, will not die completely before the death of the body. In a plane of existence like this, there will be left at the end a little bit of ego anyway. even the human ego. Let me explain this. If the awakening has been embodied really effectively through a long period of time of several years, still there will be something left there. And the way to see it is the ego still will have a role as a protective element for the mind-body organism that will trigger, a little bit of anxiety or a red light in the dashboard to bring your attention that your mind-body organism could be in danger, right? So it will have still a kind of a role there, but now the ego is not at the wheel and is not in charge of the show. It has become a servant and is not the master. And the ego can be a good servant, but a lousy master, of course.
So when we, I don't know the correct word, when we awaken to our crown chakra, or when we move up into our crown chakra, what happens to the ego?
Yeah, Diane is asking, well, when we move to the crown chakra, what happens to the ego? If you are absolutely in the crown chakra and you are not in contact with the other levels, then of course at that moment you're in a transcendental state. We could say a meditative state. For that period of time, the ego is totally gone, is somewhere, is still in the programs in the mind-body organism, but you for some time you have transcended both egos. Yeah. However, that type of meditative state or altered states of consciousness, as they have been called, which is not the case, it's a bad name, but anyway, for whatever it's worth, will not last. Yeah. We all know that those states, those highs, tend to just live for some time, and then because there are issues in the other chakras, then there will be a pulling down, and these things will need to be resolved. Attachments, expectations, drives that have not been surrendered, human ego drives, soul ego drives, and yes, if eventually, all this has been cleared, perhaps you may be able to maintain that level. But it's rare. It's rare that people will be able to stay there, and even if you are so high in that state 24/7, a fairly significant threat to the human organism will tend to produce a contraction, and this has been, presented in the literature of the mystics over and over, that they have a moment of contraction when the organism is significantly threatened, because of the phenomena that I was explaining a moment ago, that the ego never disappears completely, so still will be holding in there, even if it is a 1%, right? So the path can be explained not in black and white. Instead of explaining it in black and white terms, like you're going to kill the ego and make it disappear, a much better, accurate explanation would be the ego. It's a constant movement towards the egoless state, so that the ego becomes thinner and thinner and thinner and thinner. But in the end, you may still have a 1% of the ego left.
Yeah, I would think that if you maintain a state in the crown chakra, connected to divinity.
Mm-hmm.
For any length of time, we probably have to drop the body.
Yeah, so Diane is saying that if you maintain a connection at the crown chakra for a long time, I guess, eventually you will drop the body. And yes, this has also been described in the literature, that if you are able to do that, to maintain that state for a long time, eventually, yes, you can become disconnected from the body. That's true. And the body will fade out. Yes.